Questions about how its hospitals are using the Baker Act on veterans seeking help. This after a young Marine went to a Florida VA for treatment and ended up being held against his will for days.
This is our son when he graduated boot camp.
Jordan Hunkin was barely a teenager when he first told his mom he wanted to be a Marine.
He says, "I'm going in the military, Mom. I want to be a Marine." I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, to be in the military was an honor.
By 17, Hunkin enlisted.
While his parents attended graduation ceremonies, 17-year-old Jordan Hunkin could not.
The young recruit even made the local news when he skipped his high school graduation to pursue military service. For the next 8 years, Hunkin, who was part of a special ops radio battalion, would endure multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. By 2012, he left the Marine Corps for civilian contract work. A few years later,
about 2015, he began to pull from us, and I did not know why. As the years went on, the further and further he got.
Medical records his family provided us show Jordan's military service left him with numerous head strikes, a mild concussion, and PTSD. Friends say the former Marine knew he needed help and wanted it.
That's kind of when he brought up that he was thinking about going to the VA, and that's when I got really worried.
Friend and fellow Marine James Hobby.
There's been plenty of instances where guys do that and it doesn't turn out well. We joke about it like in the military where like, don't go to the VA, like they'll just kill you.
For Jordan, nothing was funny about the mental battle he was losing. So in February of 2023, he came here to Malcolm Randall VA Hospital in Gainesville, where the young Marine told buddies he was attending a voluntary treatment program for depression and PTSD.
He was convinced that there was this special combat veteran program that he was going to be able to attend that would help him with the issues that he was having.
A few days later,
he called me and he was a totally different person. Like he was very frantic in the voice. He was very distraught. He starts to tell me about how he showed up and he asked for this person's name that he was supposed to be meeting there. And upon asking for that person's name, he was tackled and restrained and held for 3 days.
Known in Florida as the Baker Act, the state law allows designated professionals to initiate an involuntary mental health exam on someone they deem to be a threat to themselves or others. In Jordan's case, despite voluntarily going to the VA for treatment and even being commended for his courage reaching out for help, he was still involuntarily committed under Florida's Baker Act. The move taking him off guard. At one point, he told staff, "This place is not what I expected, and I don't understand why I'm here," or Baker acted. 2 days later, Jordan was discharged and never went to the VA for help again.
At that point, he felt that whoever he asked for help is just going to hold him against his will again.
6 months later, 36-year-old Jordan Hunkin died by suicide.
It's just a shock. You know, it's not something, even though you might think it's going to happen, when it does, it's like, oh. No.
Family and friends believe what happened to Jordan at the VA pushed him over the edge.
You threw my son under the bus. You didn't take care of him.
I most definitely believe the VA contributed to his death because afterwards he was a totally different person.
Angry over his friend's treatment, Hobby complained to the VA and discovered his complaints were getting closed within an hour of being submitted.
And they're immediately getting complaints that they should be looking into and they're throwing them in the trash.
He went up the chain, eventually getting the attention of the VA's Office of Inspector General, who investigated. A few months later, the IG released this report that found Jordan was incorrectly Baker acted, his rights violated. There's more. No Baker Act training, no Baker Act oversight, no Baker Act tracking. In fact, the Inspector General's report, which doesn't name Jordan for privacy reasons, suggested what happened to him may have happened to dozens of other veterans seeking help at the same hospital.
Would you call it a complete failure?
It definitely was a significant failure.
Susan Tostenrud is with the VA and says part of the problem is the VA governs by its own set of rules, not Florida law, which sets rules for the Baker Act.
I'm unable to say if it's a systemic issue. I can say it could be.
Studies show veterans who are involuntarily admitted are at a higher risk of suicide in the year following. Though Jordan took his life 6 months after he was Baker acted, the IG's report falls short of blaming the hospital for his death. But it acknowledged his experience likely contributed to him feeling, quote, misled by the VA.
Like, some people have a great experience with the VA, and then some people die.
James Hobby now wants accountability.
I just don't think it's okay for him to be treated that way and then him just be another number that just killed himself, when there's way more to it than just that. It's not that simple.
I want them to work to help bring these men and women the help they need. He was in the radio battalion. They were ambushed.
Jordan's family just wants change and a promise their son's death off the battlefield is taken as seriously as it would be had Jordan died on the battlefield.
These guys are coming to you for help.
Officials at Malcolm Randall VA Hospital refused an on-camera interview, sending us a statement instead, telling us preventing veteran suicide is our highest priority, and we take this responsibility with the utmost seriousness. The hospital now stepping up its Baker Act training and protocols. I'm Kate.